Oh, oh. One more. Oh, wow. Sorry, you guys. I had to release that frustration then. And I don't mean frustration in a negative, bad way. I thought we played a very hard-fought game today. I thought I saw quite a few good performances today. But for me, the frustration is in those like small, fine margins that prevented us from leaving here with all 3 points. And I think one of the most defining ones throughout this entire game was in the dying few seconds before this game ended when, Chukwuemeka, very talented, very young, he had the opportunity to cut that pass back to Raheem Sterling. And in the area in which Raheem Sterling was about to take that shot then, for me, I feel like that was a moment to seal this game. If we had some composure and some clarity in a few moments in this game today, you guys, the entire complexion of this game completely changes, and I think we leave it with all 3 points. But I have to say, massive credit goes out to Brentford. This is now 3 games unbeaten against them, and you can see why. I mean, they're a team that can run all day. They have intensity, they have power, they defend as a group, they attack in numbers. And they had moments and opportunities themselves to get something from this game, especially from Ivan Toney. And a lot of the crosses coming from that left-hand side, right-hand side actually, in the field. So, when you actually look at the game overall, I guess 1 point was fair for both teams based on the performance and intensity that both showed today. But at the same time, as a fan, you're always going to feel a bit frustrated that if we had that clarity and that composure in just a few moments, then of course, ideally, we want to win every single game that we're watching. But still, though, there were still quite a few positives in this game today for sure before we played the massive game versus Man United. And in today's match review, I want to discuss some of the big talking points for me. I want to talk about Armando Broja. I want to talk about Kepa, Chalobah. I want to talk about that defensive duo down the left-hand side of Cucurella and Koulibaly as well, plus other details and observations from this game. So I hope you guys definitely enjoy. Please share your thoughts and opinions as well. And let's get straight into things, my friends. So let's start things off. For me, I want to discuss Armando Broja. I thought this was incredibly promising. This was very exciting. I thought we got glimpses of the player that Armando Broja can one day become. Because in this game today, he demonstrated his full arsenal, his full skill set. And with time, with experience, with patience for him to develop and grow, all these areas, all the danger he can bring to a team like us, these can be fine-tuned and improved upon as time goes on. And I think one of the defining moments of the game today came in the 38th minute when Armando Broja kind of showed off everything that makes him what he is and what he can bring to this team. We saw his willingness to run in behind today. We saw in that moment in the 38th minute how, he was constantly putting pressure on Ben Mee throughout this game today. Ben Mee could not match this guy physically whatsoever. He has the strength, he has the acceleration to, go for that ball. He gets brought down, but he's got the strength to get back up again, continue to drive into the box. And this is where one day when Broja's 24, 25, we'll have that composure to realize, okay, it makes more sense for me to play that pass quickly to my teammates inside the box who, got on the right positions there to take advantage and hopefully get us a goal. 2 moments to cut it back to a Mount and Kai Havertz a lot earlier. He wasn't able to do that, but due to the skill he has with the ball at his feet and his quick feet, for a guy of his size, his speed, his frame, the guy is very dainty on the ball when he's running at opponents, and he was still able to fashion an opportunity to find Kai Havertz inside the box. Unfortunately, again, that lack of experience, that rawness, put way too much power in that, but he created something out from nothing on 2 occasions then. And for me, this is the promise, and this is why we should be patient with talents like this, because they're not the finished article. There's only one Mbappe in the world. Not every guy who's 21 can perform that type of expertise as an Mbappe. But Broja today, wow, the shift this guy put in for the team and the quality he showed at times too. I mean, we saw the full extent of what he can do. We saw how he was receiving balls out wide, in the channels, constantly making runs there, constantly being the outlet out wide as well on the right hand side and the left hand side. He led the attack very well. We saw that movement in behind, timing his runs to perfection. He put so much pressure on their centre backs, especially, and Ben Mee as well. We saw his ability on the ball when he drops deep to receive out wide, but he can then, use his dribbling skills to take out players and, of course, push us forward up the field. And we saw his hold-up play too. There were a few times when Koulibaly was playing very nice passes in the air to find Broja, who was getting in front of his defender, strong upper body, holding it up and playing the ball back to his teammates. And for me, for him to be doing that and being that type of outlet for the team, this is what makes him very exciting for me. We've seen the promise in these, glimpses and cameos that he's had. It was unfortunate today not to force a few more moments and, at least get an assist in this game today. But I do feel like Broja is one of those project guys where we should really keep him in the squads, because in the next 1, 2, 3 seasons, this guy could really be a phenomenal striker, and maybe he could be someone better than a Diego Costa. I would not be surprised for that based on just how much he can do and how much he can bring for the team. So I definitely think this was a promising performance from Armando Broja. Share your thoughts and opinions. And moving on, I now want to discuss for the second thing we learned, and that's this Kepa Renaissance. Now, I thought it was a very fascinating battle seeing, Kepa versus Ivan Toney. On 2 occasions, Toney, of course, one of the most informed strikers in the league currently. He forces some, incredible point-blank reactive saves from Kepa on 2 occasions. And this is a completely different Kepa now. And to keep things, quite fair and objective, I felt like since he lost that first team spot, since he had competition in Mendy, and since he's been out that spotlight, whatever type of it sounds a bit harsh, but I don't know, mental fragilities. I don't really like the way I'm describing Kepa. I can't think of something better at this point in time to describe what I'm trying to say. Sorry, bear with me, you guys. But I do feel like those type of, mental frailties in that sense that was holding him back, they're far gone from his game now. They're a thing of a past. That's history right now. This is a completely different Kepa, and you can understand why maybe scouts originally thought, let's take a gamble on this guy, because not only does he have that great reactions with his saves, getting off his line very quickly, good distribution as well too, and he just looks a lot more comfortable in the league now. I feel like he knows his place, and I feel like having that spotlight off of him has allowed him to kind of develop and grow and acclimatize, with himself in this league. And of course, now he can really show what he's really about. And, I do find it interesting because, in a sense, his price tag is the reason why he's still remained here. We know that he came very close to moving to Lazio on loan before that was decided, listen, you remain with us. And that was probably the best decision that was made, to be honest with you. And it just gets you thinking, a lot of times in this game, players get written off just like that after 1 season. You weren't good enough for us, you made a few mistakes, okay, boom, you're out the door, goodbye. And I do think at times we forget that these guys are human beings, and really the best way to get out of a rut is to find that confidence and to have a spell of good form. And I think when you have that, that's the key difference between failure and success. And it gets you thinking, if players had more patience from their clubs, where they weren't written off just like that after 1 middling season, which could be due to a multitude of reasons, maybe personal life reasons, needing time to settle, not feeling confident due to managers not believing in you, which is definitely going to affect your confidence. It feels like how many players don't get that second or even third chance that they actually might need to really show what they can do. So I'm happy that Kepa's one of the lucky ones that's been able to remain here, get out that rut, and really show what he can do, because wow, this guy, by the end of this month, him and Mount are my players of the month by far, because Kepa, again, kept us in the game with incredible saves at the right time when you need him. Even in the second half, when he had to leave his goal line to help defend against a few counter-attacks as well, he was there, and aerially in the books, this guy was strong and magnificent. So very pleased and happy for him that he's been able to really show what he can do. We currently have 2 top keepers at this club. I want to see you guys, long may that continue. Another thing that I learned today was our left-hand side of Koulibaly and Cucurella definitely needs a lot more time. Now, this left-hand side costs us 100 million pounds. That's a lot of money. And naturally, I have to compare how I saw Rudiger and Ben down the left. And naturally, it might be unfair, but I have to compare the performances I saw from the old left-hand side of Rudiger and Ben Chilwell compared to the new one of Cucurella and Koulibaly. Now, of course, got to have some patience with Koulibaly and Cucurella. They've just come, of course, to the club. They'll probably improve naturally over time as they get more acclimatized and a lot more confident. But it's a weird one, because I thought today maybe Koulibaly is one of the main reasons why the left-hand side can be a bit weaker at times. And I'd probably say Cucurella as well too. And I think one of the big differences I'm seeing between the new left-hand side defensively and the old one from last season is that last season, I don't remember too many teams having too much joy down that side. I wasn't seeing too many teams getting crosses inside the books. Today, Brentford were creating, tons of issues for us by, constantly targeting their attacks down that wide area, forcing free kicks from Onyeka, constantly getting fouled by Koulibaly, who, I get it. You've come to the Premier League, the pace, the intensity, it's a step up compared to Serie A. That's why you see little silly mistakes and errors, like, for example, misjudging the flights and bounces of balls, because that, listen, I need to be quick with my decision making because there's a player behind me instantly ready to win that ball. And a few times we saw Koulibaly failing in those areas, down that right hand side, the amount of crosses I was seeing, not only from set pieces from corners, but of course just from the third man runs too, from what's his name, Roselov, their wing back for Brentford as well. And a few times we saw Tone and Brentford players in that 6-yard box getting on the end of these balls, and without Kepa and some great defending from actually all the defenders and moments throughout the game, things could have been completely different and been in favour of Brentford. And I'm hoping that, we see some improvements from them. I think some of the mistakes can come from the fact that Koulibaly, when he does get beaten out wide, he is too nervous. He retreats deeper alongside his centre-backs, and by doing that, that kind of isolates Cucurella, who could potentially be left in no man's land. Now, he's got the skill, he's got the experience. No, I can't just, hone in on my opposite wing back and close him down, because then I'm going to leave myself susceptible to a 2v1 and get played through. Last season, we saw Rudiger, who was very comfortable and adept at, coming out to cover his wing back in behind. And that's why that relationship defensively was so strong and so excellent, because Rudiger, wow, the way he leveled up his career differently to be one of the best defenders on this planet currently, for sure, we took that for granted, you guys. We took that for granted. So, these guys do have quality. They're not bad players, but in football, it's a team game, and it doesn't matter if you're quality individuals, if you're understanding of each other's game is not fine-tuned perfectly. So let's hope that these guys can improve as the months do go on, because they are good players. Let's keep that real. But for sure, I've seen a lot of teams finding maybe too much joy now down that right-hand side. So to end things with the final thing we learned, I want to show some love to Trev Chalobah, because for me, I think this guy has become so accomplished in his game. The authority he shows, the fact that he can play on the left, on the right, and in the middle of a back three as well too. How many great headers away into less dangerous areas was he making all the time? I mean, how many times was he covering Aspilicueta down that right hand side when he needed to? And how many times was he looking to kickstart attacks as well too? And it gets you thinking, why is this guy not really being mentioned as a player that could potentially be part of the national team for the World Cup? Because you look at our defenders, I'm looking at guys like Kouli and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, Chalobah is on a different level compared to you. I'm even looking at guys like Tomori, where I'm just thinking, the performances I've seen from Chalobah just kind of eclipse what I've seen from Tomori in the sense of that composure. Less mistakes, not making schoolboy errors. Chalobah doesn't really make, I think the mistakes he makes is on par with the rest of the defenders in the team, to keep things real with you. And we've never lost a game under him at all either. So he's really stepped up to be a very key part for the team. And I think the guy deserves a lot of credit, in my opinion. So there you have it, you guys. That was the review today. It's a shame we couldn't get something. I like the substitutions that Graham Potter made in the end. A triple substitution was made to change the complexion of the game. Mecca came on, had a lot more time, showed promise. Let's hope that with more game time and more acclimatization to this first team, we're going to see more of his talent and his ability. I thought Pulisic's cameo looked hungry, looked confident. I mean, I was seeing this guy's reaction on the bench during the TV highlights, footage, whatever, and he didn't look upset. He kind of looked content. He kind of looked excited. He couldn't wait to come on the field. And you could see that in his performance today with some of that effort that he forced from Rare in the end, how he was probing between the lines, how he was looking to take on his man as well too. Very promising stuff. And I like the fact that Sterling replaced Cucurella to force back those Brentford wingbacks. It was a brave decision that was made. And I like that Potter is not afraid to make those decisions when he has to, of course, to get us back into the game. But in the end, maybe the lack of understanding offensively, how many times I'll be seeing different attacks. Maybe that didn't help us. Maybe if Alba came on a lot earlier compared to Havertz, who again today, very quiet and very non-existent. Might be time to start talking about Kai Havertz soon, you guys. It's a bit of an iffy one with him at this point in time. But regardless, it was still a strong team performance in context of the game today. And, you know, we move on to the next game. So you guys, on that note, I'm in EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.